All right, I want to switch gears and talk about Caitlin Clark here, who, by the way, had her best game yet.
Yeah.
In their loss to the Liberty 3-0 now, Fever 0-3. It's not a good basketball team she's on. But after shooting barely 30% in her first two games, she shot a much more respectable 9-17 from the field, 4-10 from three-point land.
To go along with 6 rebounds, 8 assists.
Yeah, I mean, these were more in tune with some of the numbers we saw, obviously, in her historic career at the University of Iowa. Her coach, now look at it, I'm like everybody else. And I've known a lot of WNBA players over the years, and it's not like I don't follow the WNBA. I certainly have since it started. But it's not high on my priority list. And honestly, Caitlin Clark's presence in the league doesn't really change that. I mean, I'm curious to follow her because she's in the news right now, and it's part of my job to make sure that, we're following what's going on here. But as far as Caitlin Clark is concerned in her game and how it's going to translate into the WNBA, I'm going to go back to someone that she was compared to when she broke his record, which was ridiculous, but broke his record, as the all-time leading scorer in Division I NCAA history, talking about Pistol Pete Maravich. Mm-hmm. When Pete Maravich came out of LSU, averaging 44 points a game for his career, 3 years, with no three-point line. Everyone was anxious to see what he was going to do in the NBA. It was a very different game. And you know what happened when he got into the NBA? Because he signed a huge contract with the Atlanta Hawks. There was jealousies. Mm. Also, he was a white player in a predominantly black league, even back then. And it didn't sit well with a lot of people that he was getting all this attention. Not just on the outside, the inside as well. And he was shut out in a lot of ways, prevented from playing his game. Pete Maravich was a showman. He was a guy that didn't just score a lot of points. He had a style. And, of course, he played for his father in college, so his father let him do his thing. But he got into the NBA, and they're like, no. That's not the way we do things here. And it disappointed fans because they wanted to see that Pete Maravich, and they didn't get to see it until he ended up in New Orleans, and then they stepped back and said, Pete, you do your thing, mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he's first-team All-NBA. He's the all-star that everyone thought he was going to be when he originally went to the Hawks. My warning to this coach, who's already on record saying that she has said the idea of Caitlin Clark holding the ball, deciding what she's going to do or setting up her shot, that's not going to happen here. You have 0.5 seconds to make a decision. Either shoot or pass. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm the WNBA, I'm telling her, if you want to keep your job, because this is a bad team, we don't have to make an excuse to fire you based on this 0-3 record. You let her do her thing. So even if you're losing, this is like when Kobe Bryant was scoring 81 points on a bad Laker team.
Right.
He was giving the Lakers what they wanted. They're not a good team, so let Kobe go off.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion to this coach before she gets fired, before the season gets even rougher than it's already. Let Caitlin Clark do her thing. But her teammates have to buy into that as well.
Yeah, there's so many layers to this. I love the Kobe comparison because you're right. People are going to watch her. They want to see the Caitlin Clark we just saw at Iowa. Let her do her, especially because the Fever is not good. It's not like she's coming in and going to disrupt something that you have created that is already working. You had back-to-back number 1 overall picks for a reason. Your team is not good. So she's not disrupting anything. Why don't you let her be her and then find a middle ground as you continue on with the season? But to just completely strip her away from what she knows, what she was successful at, it is a question mark. It is a question mark. There's a lot of question marks, though, I have. This team, watching them, I watched the first half intently today against the Liberty, which is a stacked team. But in the first quarter, you could immediately see the difference in the way the Fever versus the Liberty protect the ball. Like the Liberty were on that ball like it was the last play they were ever going to play. But the Fever were inbounding the ball half-assed. And guess what? There they were stealing the ball, the Liberty. Like, it just looked like a freshman team playing a varsity team with the littlest of discipline. You could be a better team, but that's what they're lacking, discipline. And like you said, the role players need to also know their role. And you have to be willing to accept it, but you said it. Jealousy, which is what I've been saying since the beginning. There's a lot of jealousy here when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because these women, I don't blame them for being jealous, Steve. I really do not blame them. You have been trying to put the WNBA women's basketball on the map. You've tried to make it a topic of conversation, and for years you've been told no. Years and years. And then here's this girl who in the last, 2 years completely revolutionized women's basketball? Why? Everyone's like, why her? Why not me? I was better than her. I did this. I won national championships. So I really do not blame the jealousy. I think it's very natural. I just hope it doesn't last as long as, years. Most people, hold on to grudges and are jealous for years. I hope it doesn't happen like that.
Here's the problem they have. You have this very small window of opportunity.
Yes, you do.
To have eyeballs on the WNBA.
Yep.
If she goes halfway through the season and the Fever has only won a couple of games and her numbers are not good, any of those fringe viewers that only watch because of her presence will turn it off.
Yeah.
And so you have this very, very, and this was a perfect opportunity because the WNBA season started so soon after her, so there wasn't a long layoff. It's like, oh, wow, she's better. This is it. You're getting eyeballs out there. And this is not helping you at all.
Yeah.
If her star power fades quickly, because, again, she can raise the star power of everyone. Breanna Stewart is one of the greatest women basketball players of all time. Mm-hmm. She was a 4-time national champion at UConn and was the MOP of all 4 Final Fours. No man or woman's done that except her. And obviously she's been a big star ever since she got into the WNBA. We've seen her already twice against Caitlin Clark. She's at a different level because she's a veteran. Well, this is an opportunity not just to showcase Caitlin Clark. It's an opportunity to showcase your league.
Right.
But you've got to let Caitlin Clark do what she does best.
Yeah, because if the Fever are losing, but Caitlin Clark is still putting on a show, it is still a success.
She has to put on a show.
She has to put on a show. Now, if she's not putting on a show and you're not letting her play and then you're still losing, that's when people are going to turn the channel off. And even in the first 2 games, like you mentioned, she had 9 points in this last blowout. I read that the ticket prices were already going down. Already. But I did look into, originally, the Fever and the Sparks were going to play at Long Beach State. I think it was because they were wondering if the Clippers and the Lakers were going to play at Crypto for the playoffs. Joke's on all of us because the Clippers and the Lakers both suck. So they have moved the team back, or the game back to Crypto. And I looked into tickets and I sent some texts out to Iowa Sam, one of them. And I was like, hey, tickets went down. Not a lot, but now you can get a good seat for like $100 at Crypto to watch Sparks and Indiana Fever. To get your foot in the door, sitting in the nosebleeds is $40. I ain't going to do that. If I'm going to go, I'm going to sit in a spot where I can actually see Caitlin Clark do some damage. And I want to see Cameron Brink for the Sparks, who played at Stanford. So I'm going to see if I can get there. It's this Friday. You want to go with me? All right, listen. The point is that the tickets apparently actually went down a little bit after her first 2 games. But I bet you maybe after today, because she wasn't terrible. I mean,
but she has to win. Look, you should have put the cupcakes at the front of the schedule of the Fever. There's a reason they had the first pick in the draft. They were the worst team in the league.
Back-to-back years. Back-to-back years.
So look at the schedules. That you needed to start their season against the worst possible teams. So at the very least, you could carry some of the momentum where she goes off for 35 points and knocks down 9 threes against a really bad team. No one would know the difference because they're not watching the WNBA. What they're seeing now is, wow, she's not like even one of the 3 or 4 best players on the court.
Yeah.
Much less this legendary changing the whole dynamic of women's basketball. So this has been mismanaged by the Fever. It's been mismanaged by the WNBA. They make this big noise that, after 25 years, the women are finally flying charter.
Yep.
Like we're coming off our most watched season of all time. you're still losing money.
Yeah.
This was your golden opportunity. So they got to get this thing right quick.
Yes.
Or otherwise, this may be the last time we ever talk about Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. So obviously the schedule, there's nothing we can do about it. But I agree with you. There's still time to make this work. And it starts with the fever. It starts with the approach of the coach. And I'm with you. Like, you got to take advantage. You have got to take advantage, and you have to take advantage right now while the iron is hot, not in 2 months.
It'll be too late.
It'll be too late.